Imagine dedicating your life to healing others, only to be accused of witchcraft. Talk about a thankless job. As a healer in a world steeped in superstition and fear, your knowledge turns into a double-edged sword. One minute, the townsfolk are knocking on your door for remedies, and the next, they're whispering about dark magic behind your back, convinced you're brewing potions for a dark master. For centuries, healers like you have been the unsung heroes in communities, armed with knowledge passed down like grandma's secret cookie recipe. As a healer, you're the go-to person when neighbors need herbal remedies for just about anything. Just yesterday, your quirky neighbor rushed over, asking if you've got something to help make her husband last longer in bed. Yep, all sorts of weird requests come your way. You keep a straight face and say, "Sorry, I'm fresh out of herbs for that." But honestly, life as a healer can really suck sometimes, you know? Let's see what fate has in store for you. Will you go to trial, or will you be set free? It's a new day, and as you start your morning, you brew your herbal tea and prepare to face a community that balances on a knife's edge between gratitude and suspicion. It's exhausting, but you roll with it because what else can you do? Healing is in your blood. You greet Mrs. Thompson with a warm smile, but as she eyes you suspiciously, you can practically hear the wheels turning in her head. Did she use too much Eye of Newt in that last potion? You try to keep things light, saying, "Just chamomile for the nervous goats." But deep down, you know one wrong word could tip the scales from healer to outcast in a heartbeat. You feel the constant need to tread carefully when discussing your methods. You've got to ensure that the healing never sounds too magical. "Oh, this remedy is just a little infusion of herbs," you say, sweetly downplaying the effects of your remedies while suppressing the urge to add, "Oh, and a sprinkle of my secret witchy charm." As you walk to the market running a small errand, you feel neighbors whisper behind your back while you pretend to gather herbs. But you can feel their eyes on you, judging, analyzing. They might think you're the one causing the sickness instead of healing it. But just when you think you're gaining the community's trust, something goes wrong. Mrs. Thompson swears her goat isn't producing milk after you treated her cold last week. And just like that, the friendly healer becomes the village villain. One word from her, and suddenly you're facing a mob with pitchforks and torches, armed with nothing but your trusty herb pouch. It's downright absurd how a single incident can transform you from the helpful neighbor into the local scapegoat. You might even gain a reputation worse than the cat lady down the street. In a whirlwind, everything changed. People are lining up in front of your house, not for your help like they used to, but with pitchforks and screaming your name, "Witch! Witch! Witch!" Before you realize what's happening, guards invade your home and drag you outside, like Mrs. Thompson's goat, right into the screaming crowd. The atmosphere is like a circus, with accusations flying left and right. "She turned my husband into a frog," they shout, and you're left defending your character while trying not to laugh at the sheer ridiculousness of it all. Someone in the crowd waves a hand-painted sign that reads, "Save our husbands." Well, good luck with that. You would have informed them about herbal tea's calming properties if they hadn't interrupted your day so dramatically. As the guards push you forward, the head of the village steps up, brandishing a scroll that supposedly holds your charges. "You stand accused of practicing dark magic and causing misfortune," he declares, trying to sound all-important. The crowd murmurs, a wave of fear mixed with excitement, and you seize the moment to address them. "Excuse me," you interrupt, raising your hands in a peace gesture. "I've only ever turned herbs into remedies, not humans into frogs, and I can't help that your husbands are not so secretly sleeping with the town's flirt. I don't need to make a love potion for that." A few members of the crowd chuckle, sensing the ridiculousness of it all. You see a glimmer of recognition in some faces. After all, who didn't come to you for a headache remedy or to fix their broken crops? You can see the tension loosening and the rumors start to unravel a bit. Maybe you haven't lost your community entirely. But just as you begin to feel a glimmer of hope, someone from the crowd yells, "But what about my missing chicken?" Ah, yes, the foul mystery of the missing poultry. This isn't over yet. "Aha!" someone points accusingly. "I knew it! She must have done something to Clara." Clara, of course, is the neighbor's prize chicken, now a topic of hot debate. "Listen," you say, trying to maintain your composure. If Clara's gone, it's probably her own fault for wandering into the neighbor's garden, and maybe ended up as dinner. A wave of laughter ripples through the crowd, but it's swiftly smothered by the relentless accusations. You take a deep breath and begin to explain the herbs you'll be using. The lavender is for calmness, and the chamomile is for sleep. But let's be clear. If Clara doesn't recover, it's totally the chicken's fault for not staying in her own yard. The village head clears his throat, trying to regain control of the situation. We must take this witch to trial. She is a danger to our community. Your heart sinks. A trial could mean all sorts of trouble. The guards lock you up in a cell as you await your fate. It's a new day with new chances. The sun hangs low in the sky as you stand nervously in front of the trial podium in the village square. It's a whirlwind of tension and fear as the villagers assemble, some clutching their pitchforks while others hold hastily drawn signs that read, "Witch" and "Justice for Clara." Seriously, all this for a chicken, you think? The atmosphere is thick with uncertainty, and you can't help but feel like a performer in a particularly chaotic play. The village head steps up, with a hat that looks far too large for him. "We are gathered here to determine the fate of this alleged witch," he announces loudly, trying to sound stern, but looking a bit like a frightened rabbit. You clear your throat. Ahem, sorry to interrupt, but can we just clarify what I'm being accused of? Trying to help you all or brewing potions to harm the village? After a while, as accusations fly back and forth, and you struggle to defend yourself, you realize that nothing seems to work. With a heavy heart, you brace yourself for what comes next. "Order!" the village head shouts, trying in vain to regain control of the mob. "We must come to a decision." Finally, after a long deliberation, the village head announces, "After much consideration, we find you guilty of witchcraft. Your methods have brought chaos and misfortune, despite your so-called healing." Your heart sinks. Your mind races with the terrifying possibilities of what fate awaits you. Burning at the stake flashes before your eyes. An image of flames licking at your skin while the crowd cheers on, convinced they've rid themselves of evil. Or perhaps drowning, where you'd be bound and thrown into the water to be tested like some ghastly form of judgment. Hanging seems like the least painful option, you think, but it's still a chilling thought. The idea of being pressed to death under heavy stones is almost too gruesome to contemplate, and you shudder at the thought. You wonder whether banishment might not be preferable. At least it offers a chance to survive, even if it means living in exile, far from those you've loved and healed. And then, the village head announces that you will be burned at the stake. As you're led away, with the townsfolk still screaming, "Witch! Witch! Witch!" you try to steel yourself against the fear surging within. This isn't just any punishment. It's the ultimate horror, a spectacle designed to terrorize rather than deliver justice. In those final moments, as they lead you to the stake, you resolve to meet your end with dignity. Perhaps in your death, the village will learn the price of ignorance. You close your eyes, ready to face the fire. Not as a witch, but as a healer, unbroken and unbowed.